filmmaker. Can we all have one more round of applause for Shankha for this amazing film? Just waiting for the lights to come on and then we'll take a seat on the stage. Thank you very much. Shankha, please join me. We do have a roaming mic somewhere, so for the later part when you're asking questions, thank you very much. Okay. Right. Okay, thank you very much everyone for joining us at the opening of the 8th London Bengali Film Festival. Thank you for Shankha for the wonderful film that you've made. You can hear by the audience the reception you've got from the audience. I think it's a very important film, especially during what's happening and has been happening in the last, let's say, 12 months or so. Yeah, just firstly, let's just start off by your reaction coming to London and finding people who were taking your film, not just in London, internationally. How has that experience been for you?
It's been great so far. So we started our film journey with Cairo International Film Festival. We had our premiere over there, world premiere. Then we traveled to IFFI. Then we had our premiere at DIFF, Dhaka International Film Festival. Then we had our theatrical run for the 7 weeks at Dhaka and across Bangladesh. And then we released this film at an OTT platform called Chotki. And now we are in London, pretty cold, but still good to see you guys here. Thank you so much for joining.
I think one of the first things he said to me yesterday when we went at the airport is asking about British weather. So I think it's been quite good today. The sun came out for the film as well. So let's talk a bit more about
I brought the sun here from Dhaka.
You brought the sun from Dhaka. Let's talk a little bit more about the film. We spoke briefly outside. I think there was an important part in the film where it mirrors itself, where you have Priyo Maloti in the early part of the film where her husband's looking to clean or make space for during the traffic, and that mirrors as well. How much of that reality do you feel like was important for you as a filmmaker to represent on the screen?
It's very important because this is the reality that we face or we live in Dhaka. So and to me. To me, the kind of a film that I want to make or the kind of a story that I want to tell, I need to live that situation or I need to live that moment. So whatever you have seen in these films, I have lived every situations in my entire life. So yeah, that was important. So and I showcased that in my film.
And also, I think there's a fundamental part of in the film is asks about the roles and responsibilities in a society and how that trickles down from the top level all the way down to the individual who's suffering or being through that challenge, especially for women in a society like in South Asia where it can be, if we're honest, a bit more challenging as well. So for you to take the lead character on a woman, what is your main point that you're trying to make from your experience and perception as a filmmaker?
So we all tell stories of men. We often forget that there's a woman we live with as well. So for me, like whenever it's just an example in Dhaka, whenever a guy is having a smoke or having a joint or having a drink, that's not a problem. But when a woman is having something like that, that's a story. So I think that there are a lot of other stories. There are other people. I think as the women are in many cases they're the heroes of our society, and they face the challenges more than a man. So I think that's the story that we should bring into the, we should tell. So I personally feel that I want to tell their stories, and that's where this whole initiative came from.
So bear with us. We are going to open the floor up so you can have some questions as well. I think you also made a very important statement in the film, which was about the bureaucracy. So when Maloti goes asking for the record of her husband where he was employed, and there's a dialogue she speaks about, he's been working here for so long. You say his salary is here, this amount in one place, another amount in another place, and that level of bureaucracy is something. Do you think that Bangladeshis have become accustomed to? So they're used to accepting it. It's not being challenged as much as it should do.
Definitely. So like our bureaucracy sucks. Our employment system sucks. We often hire a driver. We give them salaries, but we don't, put that in pen and paper. So I think the whole system it's quite challenging for the people, those who comes from the lower class or lower middle class. So yeah, that should be addressed, and I try to put all these things in my film. But the main thing that I want to address is my discomfort with the religions that I am in. I'm a Hindu. I have a huge obligations with the rituals that I follow or we follow after our death. So I wanted to question that, and I think I have addressed that issues, and also I wanted to address some other issues that we are living in the society, like our employment system, our bureaucratic problem, our social security, which is quite rare. So yeah, there's the combinations that I wanted to address in Dear Maloti.
Okay. And finally, for you as a filmmaker based in Bangladesh, getting the international attention, and from your filmmaker friends as well, obviously that's an important part, because now films are far more international. You can be in Bangladesh watching international content, and therefore it's very important that we have platforms that we can take filmmakers with their stories internationally. How would you say filmmakers in Bangladesh are facing getting films out into the international audience and international market?
I think the main challenge is that we need a bridge. Like, we have a lot of filmmakers, those who are, taking great initiatives to make good films, great films. But, taking it to the larger audience, there is a lack of, the bridge or the connections, those who can actually, put your films to greater audience. Like, for an example, in Cannes, this year there are like 3,000 films that were submitted in Cannes, but I don't think that they have watched 3,000 films. Like, it is important who is actually submitting the film and who are the producers behind the film. So I think that's where it comes from. Like we need good producers, we need good distributor, we need good connections who can actually put your films to the international audience.
And can I take that opportunity to thank each and every one of you, because audiences make a film screening successful, and you've turned up over here in large numbers. So thank you again for joining us. Okay, we have a roaming mic now. You've seen the film. We heard you praising it. I've had conversation outside as well. So now this is your chance. Any of the issues you've seen on film, the filmmaker is here. He's come all the way from Bangladesh, Dhaka in Bangladesh. So any questions do we have for Shankha, our filmmaker over here, please? Parvez Bhai. I've got Parvez Bhai, then I've got Murad over here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a great film. Actually,
Parvez Bhai, take the microphone, please.
It is a reality in Bangladesh. But my simple question is to you: after the film is showing the Bangladesh, did you receive any comment from the Bangladesh government about the story? Because 2-3 point, which is bureaucracy, and also is highway and transportation as well. That's why I have to see, and I like to know from you. Did you get anything?
Very good question.
So there's an award which Bangladesh government gives every year, which is National Award. So I'm going to submit my film to the National Award. So I can give you the answer next year. If they don't give me the award, I'll say that they have a problem with my film. So far, just kidding. So far, I didn't have any problem with the whole thing. But the thing is, when I submitted my film for the censorship, so there's a certification board. So they approved the film in one go. But then again the bureaucratic system, so it took 1 month to get the certificate. So still there is a bureaucratic problem. So I personally I didn't face any issues so far regarding the film. Maybe it's because we had political transitions after 5th August. So I submitted the film after 5th August, and it released on 20th December in Dhaka. So I don't know about what would been happen if the previous government was in charge, but so far it's nothing like that.
Thank you. If I can request, when you do ask questions, if you feel comfortable, please do introduce yourself. That was Paras by former Mayor of Brent. I've got Murad over here. So can we get the microphone to Murad over here, please? Murad, put your hand up again, please.
Thank you, Munsur, and thank you, Director, for... well, I wasn't expecting this, but I just wanted to deal with what...
Just a question, what was you expecting?
Okay. Well, I wasn't sure, actually. I've been to many of Munsur's film launches and what have you, so I've been certainly entertained. But no, the serious point I want to make is this. There are many orphaned Palestinian kids, tens of thousands now in Gaza. I don't know if you... I think there are parallels here, and you may not be suggesting that, but I certainly saw it. You know, they've lost their mums, dads, their whole family, and they've got nowhere to go. Nowhere. But there's another parallel, which is in London. In the Grenfell fire, we lost a Bangladeshi family, Hasnumia and Rabia Begum. The whole family perished. The mum, the dad, the daughter, Hasna Begum, and the 2 sons.
Just so Shankha, we had this terrible fire a few years ago, and people that lived in that block, we lost a lot of lives there. It was a very, very sad situation for the whole of the UK.
There were 72 killed, 1 Bangladeshi family. I mentioned that because we had similar issues, documentation. Thankfully, we don't have an ID system here. Bangladesh does, so we had to. Well, that was dealt with. The local MP Evident Code went out of their way to sort that out. The most difficult bit was the funerals, because there wasn't anything left of them. It's the honest, it's a goddamn truth. And for those who were there, it was actually a very emotional thing. So it's brought up things like this. But I get the overall impression you're suggesting that you can't expect justice out of the system, that we can only depend on the common humanity of people, whatever their religion, to get us through these very, very difficult instances. For us, there are many of us in Minder Town in North Kensington who are certainly on the case to get justice for the 72. I just hope the Met police would get their bloody acts together and get on with the case. All the evidence has been produced. But I thought in your film you were suggesting in these tragedies, when you go around the system, you can't expect justice because of the way it's all set up.
Can I just summarise the question? The question here is about expectation of justice.
Yeah.
And thank you, Murad, for a very emotional response and question as well. So the question, just to kind of reiterate, is around the expectation. Can people expect to get some form of justice, or as Murad suggested, that people just get on with it, just pure out of human nature or being good-natured?
Sorry, I didn't get...
So in Bangladesh, can people expect to get a good kind of response or support or anything that's happening like this? So what you showcase for the woman and struggling, etc. So we spoke about this earlier on about the expectation. So the question is, what do you think the expectation of an average person in Bangladesh is when there are any situations like a fire or something happens? Where do they turn to? It's a reality for people in Bangladesh, but do they have any hope, or do they just rely on one another? In other words, do they rely on the system at all, or just on friends and neighbors?
I think we need a cultural change. It is like in one fine morning, one government cannot bring justice or cannot change the system. It comes from the roots, and it goes till the up. So to be very honest, I'm not that optimistic about the whole thing. I don't see any light at the end of this tunnel, because we live in a society, we live in a country of 18 crore people, and we couldn't actually establish a system. It's been 50 years or 55 years since we got the, we are free. But I don't see any light at the end of this tunnel, and I don't know how we're gonna suffer. And these are the events we face every year, and like 6 or 7 incidents every year happens, and there is no change. So I don't know.
Yeah, just a bit of translation. So that's 180 million population in Bangladesh. Thank you, Murad, for that. Any other questions, please? Wow, I've got lots of hands. Okay, can we take the lady there, just behind Lisa? If you can just, that's you. Yes.
Hello, thank you. My name's Jennifer. First of all, I wanted to say I thought the film was amazing and powerful, and that using the protagonist of the main actress as the main focal point was brilliant. My reflection, the more observations, was that I felt that you could see some of the Me Too movement coming through as showing a powerful woman, the discrimination that we face just generally. And also I thought it was really interesting that you showed the relationship between Muslims and Hindus. I don't think we see enough of that, and how we can work together in peace and love. So I credit you for that as well. I just wanted to check with you, did you have any more influences when you sort of directed this film, other than the ones you sort of touched on?
So do you mean influences in making the film? Or?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, your personal influences.
This film is all about my personal, experiences and all. So I think there's the only thing that, the only difference that we never could mitigate or solve is the religious difference. Like, I'm a Hindu, that's what my parents said after my birth. So, and Munsur is Muslim. So, I think we can mitigate all the difference between us, but we never can solve the problem or the differences that I'm Hindu and he's Muslim by title. So I have an issue with that. Like, we never got the chance to, accept the kind of religion that I want to practice. Well, like, the religion was given to me. Like, I have to follow, I have to be a Hindu, he needs to be a Muslim. So yeah, that's one thing. And another thing is, we all work, or we all, we all depend on the perceptions very much. Like, the kind of relationship that I have shown between Rajak and Maloti, it's pure friendship. But the society, they perceive that there might be some kind of a relationship between them. So we all live in the perceptions. We never get to, get into the detail of that. So that's another problem that I faced in my personal life as well. So this film is actually, it has a lot about what I have personally faced in my entire life so far. So,
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Right, can I just request, we've got some, if I can get that lady from the far back. I'm trying to get to as many as possible. I'm conscious of time, so please, if you can just introduce yourself and just keep the question as brief as possible, please.
Hi, Noreen Hussain. I really enjoyed the film. I think you mentioned at the beginning that your kind of politics really influences your filmmaking, and you mentioned some of the themes here. I was also wondering whether, potentially the kind of economic system and economic inequality kind of played a role there too. Lots of the kind of issues in the film seem to stem from that, and I was wondering what your thoughts were about that.
Did you understand that?
No.
So, can you just elaborate on the economic side? Do you mean in society or the filmmaking itself?
No, sorry. In society, yeah, sort of economic inequality, potentially like capitalism, for example, having to use loan sharks rather than having a sort of banking system. Clearly, I think being sort of working class, maybe in Bangladesh, and struggling with, landlords and that sort of thing. It seemed like it came through in a lot of ways, but I was wondering what your sort of views were.
Sure. So, correct me if I reiterate this incorrectly, but basically we're talking about financial security, social security, what you mentioned earlier on. So when Maloti has issues with the rent, there's nowhere for her to really to turn to. When she's in hospital and the bills need to be paid, etc., there's unofficial ways of doing things that probably in London we would think that's completely unacceptable, but her friend's friend secures, etc. So that financial security or lack of, what are your thoughts of that in Bangladesh as a reality?
That sucks big time. so I am. Let me share one example. Like 3-4 months back, our landlord they told us to leave the house because he probably will sell the flat. So we were like looking around houses to take rents and all. So everything was finalized. So suddenly the landlord got to know that we are Hindu. So he said that okay, so we can give our house rent to a Hindu family. So these are the reality that we live in, and yeah, that's the reflections that you got to see in the films as well. So this is the same as in the financial systems, in the bureaucratic systems as well. So this is the reality. This is what we live in, and this is what you have got to see in the film.
Thank you. Right. Can I get the chap over here with your hand up? If you just keep. That's it over here. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautifully done film and very visceral. As bleak as the film is there any scene that you really enjoyed shooting?
We spoke about this earlier, didn't we? Yeah, go on.
I don't enjoy shooting. It's really tough. I rather enjoy the pre-productions and all. To be very honest, I really the most challenging part of the entire film is when Polash died in the road accident. So it was a huge arrangement in terms of the whole productions and all. So that was the main challenge, and the whole fire incidents is the most challenging part in the film, because it needed to look real, it needed to look pathetic, it needed to look as realistic as possible. So that was the main challenge for me as a filmmaker, and I wanted to give my 100%, though I gave my 100% in the entire film. But that was the most challenging part, and I really enjoyed shooting that, though it was very hectic. I probably lost 10 years of my lifetime shooting the whole thing, but I really enjoyed it, and I don't mind living 10 years less in this whole fucking shitty world.
Okay, I've got time for maybe a couple more questions. Hand up over here, please.
Hi, this is Raisa. I really enjoyed the film. I would rate this as one of my top Bengali films I've watched, and my question for you is also on the creative process. I love that the ending came full circle with Maloti's death, mirroring Palosh's death. I wonder, what are the other endings you were thinking of and debating before you landed on that final scene?
That's a very good question.
I wanted to keep Maloti alive, but then I realized that I should let her be free. That's how she should, she should be. But I think the society doesn't have enough infrastructural system or enough capacity to keep her alive. So and that's unfortunate. So I couldn't keep her alive. So I think and the people like Maloti and Polash, they came from roads. They should die in the road. That's the reality. So yeah. And I did that.
That's a harsh interpretation, but I think it's also apt because towards the end you had the child there. I think that was if I remember correctly from when I saw it, that was the last scene or shot of the child. What was that you're trying to portray? Hope or repetition of the?
To be very honest, I didn't want that ending, to show Maloti's child with Rajak and all. But that's the kind of a pressure that we face making films in Bangladesh. People really want to get some hope I don't really know what that means, but yeah, I think you guys are hopeful enough right now after this ending.
Thank you. All right, one more question, please. There's a lady, if I can see that orange top.
Or we can take few more.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Noshin. I'm a policy student at UCL. I was born and raised in Bangladesh, and as a woman, I could actually connect to most of the parts of the film. Hats off to you that you actually questioned a lot of like bureaucratic processes. I'm a lawyer as well, so I could relate there as well. But my question is specifically to cultural and social norms, basically. I see that you had chosen a female protagonist, which we see very rarely in Bangladeshi films. Meza bin Chaudhry coming out of her glamour and doing this role. Secondly, the intersectionality you showed, that the religious and cultural practices you question. So did you face any specific challenges while questioning these so-called general norms of Bangladeshi films and rituals and societal expectations?
The only challenge that I have faced that it is not a great box office success. It's not bringing too much money, or it's not making my producer too rich enough. So it's the only challenge that I have faced. Apart from that, I didn't really face much enough, because the first time I have pitched this story to my stakeholders, they're all in one go. I got the green signal that we should make this film. And I'm lucky enough that I have got good stakeholders who believed in the story, who believed in the process, who believed in my belief. So yeah, that was quite a good journey at the end of the days. But I'm happy that I could question the systems, I could question the reality and all. And yeah, so far it was quite a good journey. Apart from that, I didn't really face that much of a challenge, or I think rather I got good response from the people like you, who really appreciated the fact that we should tell more female-led stories, and we should tell more stories like that.
Thank you very much. I think I've got one question where I can relate. When I released my first film, I had even some family members come and say, oh, when they saw the film, and they said, wow, you made a film. And they knew for 2 or 4 years I was making a film. And then I said, yes, that's what I've been telling you. And they said, well, no, we thought you were making a Bangla film. So do you find that kind of taboo? Do you find those challenges where there's one form of Bangla cinema that's far more commercial than a story like this? Is this something that you think Bangladesh is coming out of, or is it still a lot of challenge to get films that are like this but not so commercially driven?
So the reality is different for different people, I think. So I have been making TV commercial for the last 10 years. So I have made more than 500 commercials. So for me, it was easy to get finance for such films. And I'm developing another story which is also female-led, and thank God that I'm still getting good responses to make that film. I don't know, people have like this mindset that they should make so-called commercials items, or the heavy commercials film to or otherwise they will not get budgets and all. But for me, I'm really grateful enough to the stakeholders or the people I really mix up with, or I share my stories. That they're all very optimistic about those things, and they're really hopeful and all. But I think we should really work on the distribution process or the communication systems, that how this sort of a films or this kind of a film can reach to the larger audience. I think that's where we need to focus on, rather like and there will be filmmakers who will always make story-driven films or female-led films, and I think it's the distribution system that's where we should work on.
And my final question to you, you briefly touched on the future, the next kind of projects. Are you able to tell us anything about what you're planning to do next in terms of your next feature project?
Oh, it's based on a true event that happened 3-4 years back. So one of this 14 years old girl who were like kidnapped, and she was transferred to India, and then her mother, who is a who they come from a very lower class segment of the society. So she actually figured out the whole the syndicate, how her daughter was kidnapped and was transferred or sold to India. So she actually got into the system. She sold herself to the network and she was transferred to India just to find her daughter. Then she
true story.
Yeah, then she rescued her and come out as a winner. So that's the true story that I'm right now working on. So I'm developing the story, so hopefully this film will come out next year or maybe
and hopefully we can welcome you again and have a screening at the London Bengali Film Festival, if all goes well.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience and support. A big round of applause.
Thank you so much.
Once again, thank you to Kerry, thank you to Barbican, thank you to the whole London Bengali Film Festival team and supporters. He will be still around outside, so do come and say hello to him. Make this a very memorable occasion for him. This is his first trip to London. Thank you everyone, and hope you have a very good evening. Thank you.